On December 31st, 2016, sophomore quarterback Jake Browning led his number 4 ranked Washington Huskies against the mighty number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide in the college football playoff semifinal game at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. He would come in having finished 6th in the Heisman Trophy vote, tossing 42 touchdowns against only 7 interceptions, along with 3,280 passing yards. This, however, would be the last time he was really in the national spotlight. What happened, and how did we get there? And what happened next? Browning was born on April 11, 1996, in Folsom, California. He would grow up there, eventually attending Folsom High School, joining the football team. And on the team he would show a knack for the game, being elevated to varsity starter in only his sophomore season. And how did he do in his very first start? He only threw 10 touchdown passes, en route to a 68-28 victory over Wood Creek High School. And that would just be the start. Over the 2012 season, he would lead the Bulldogs to a perfect 10-0 record in the regular season, and into the California Interscholastic Federation playoffs. There he would continue his dominance, leading Folsom to the Sac Joaquin section title, and a chance at the CIF Open Championship. Unfortunately there, he would run up against the number 1 ranked school in the nation, De La Salle, and fall 49-15. Over the season though, Browning would complete 391 of his 605 passes for 5,248 yards, 63 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions, as he led Folsom to a 14-1 record and the 90th slot in the national rankings. And as a sophomore, he'd be back to try again next season. The next season, after sitting out the opener, he would start off his season with another banger against Wood Creek, though this time only throwing 7 touchdowns en route to a commanding victory. He'd then again lead the Bulldogs to another undefeated regular season and into the CIF playoffs. There they would claim another Sac Joaquin section title and get another shot at the Open Championships. Unfortunately, they would again run up against De La Salle and fall short yet again, this time 45-17. Browning though would have another lights out season as the Bulldogs would go 15-1, 14-1 with him as a starter, and rose to the 43rd best team in the nation. He completed 440 of his 579 passes for 5,737 yards, 75 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. And with one season left, he would get one last shot at the state championship. And with that shot, he'd have one of the best high school seasons ever. He would again lead his team to a perfect regular season, and then again cruise to a Sac Joaquin section title, and this time play for the Division I championship instead of the Open Championship, avoiding De La Salle, and he would cruise to that too, defeating Grant 52-21 in the semifinal, and Oceanside 68-7 in the championship. With that, he would complete a perfect 16-0 season, and raise the Bulldogs to the 5th slot in the national rankings, while completing 360 of his 524 attempts for 5,790 yards, 91 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. With that, he would conclude his high school career with multiple California and national records, while also being selected by USA Today to the high school All-American team, and achieving a 4-star ranking by Rivals.com. With all that, he'd be heading to the University of Washington, a school he had committed to prior to his senior season, despite also receiving scholarship offers from the likes of Alabama, Boise State, Cal, Colorado, Oklahoma State, San Jose State, Utah, and Washington State. He would arrive on campus as an early enrollee in January 2015, and with the retirement of 2014 starter Siler Miles, a quarterback competition would ensue, though it would quickly be whittled down to Browning and redshirt freshman KJ Carter-Samuel, with Browning coming out on top. And on September 9, 2015, he'd become the second true freshman to start a game at quarterback in Washington history, and the first to start the opener. The game would not go as well as his first in high school, as they would lose 16-13 to Boise State, as he would complete 20 of his 35 passes for 150 yards and an interception. He would then begin to settle in though. First was a 2-touchdown performance against FCS Sacramento State, and then a 3-touchdown performance against Utah State, both wins. He would then suffer a 6-point loss to Cal in a game he would throw 2 interceptions against no touchdowns in, but would then pull an upset in the following game at 17th ranked USC 17-12, despite throwing no touchdowns for the second straight game. He would then finally break the touchdown drought in a loss to Oregon, but would also receive an injury sidelining him for the next game. He would then return stronger than ever though, with a 4-touchdown performance and a win against Arizona. Unfortunately, Washington would then suffer 2 straight losses versus Utah and at Arizona State, where Browning would complete 56% of his passes, with 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He would then bounce back though, with another 4-touchdown performance, this time at Oregon State, on only 20 passes, and then he would lead the Huskies to a 45-10 upset victory over number 20 Washington State in the Apple Cup. With that, the Huskies would finish the season 6-6 and earn a bowl invitation to the Heart of Dallas Bowl against Southern Mississippi, a game they would win 44-31, For the season, Browning would complete 233 of his 369 attempts for 2,955 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, on his way to his second team Pac-12 All-Freshman selection and Washington's Travis Spring Most Outstanding Freshman Award. And with the solid true freshman campaign, he would look to continue that success into his sophomore season. And he would, having a season very reminiscent of his record-setting high school days. With the Huskies starting the season ranked 14th, he'd start his season off with a bang, first throwing 3 touchdowns against Rutgers, then following that up with a 5-touchdown performance against Idaho and a 4-touchdown performance against Portland State. He'd then come back to earth a little with a 2-touchdown performance in a 35-28 win at Arizona. However, that game might have been the outlier, as he'd come back the next week with a 3-touchdown performance against number 7 Stanford, and then a 6-touchdown performance against Oregon, and then another 3-touchdown performance against Oregon State. He'd then fall back a little against number 17 Utah in a 31-24 victory, but bounce back with another 6-touchdown performance against Cal. He'd then have his worst game of the season, as USC would get their revenge, as the unranked Trojans would pick off Browning twice and defeat the number 4 Huskies 26-13. Browning would then have another down game, throwing another 2 interceptions, though this time he would also throw 2 touchdowns, and a 44-18 drubbing of Arizona State. Though this may also be in part due to an injury to his throwing shoulder that would go undisclosed until the offseason. Though he'd bounce back the following week with a 3-touchdown performance in the Apple Cup, and then a 2-touchdown performance in the Pac-12 championship game against Colorado, though in that game he would only complete 9 of his 24 passes. With that, he would head into the bowl season with the 4th-ranked team in the nation and a 12-1 record. They would match up against Alabama in the Peach Bowl semifinal game, and would be defeated 24-7, ending the season in a bit of a disappointment. Browning, though, would get many accolades, with his 62.1 completion percentage on 391 passes for 43 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. He'd go on to win the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year, get first-team All-Pac-12 honors, get 6th place in the Heisman vote, and be named a finalist in the Walter Camp, Manning, Maxwell, and O'Brien Awards respectively. With that massive amount of success, and the college football playoff appearance, he would look to carry that into his junior season. Just weeks after their semifinal loss, though, his shoulder injury would be disclosed, as it would require surgery, and as the season started and progressed, it would seem to have been worse than what was led on. He would see a noticeable loss in arm strength, though he would compensate by throwing shorter, more available throws. He would still start the season off 6-0 though, completing over 70% of his 173 passes for 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, but would peter off as he got into the heat of Pac-12 play, with his accuracy dropping 4 points and only throwing 4 touchdowns against 2 interceptions, as they would go 4-2 down the stretch. They would miss out on a chance to defend their conference title, losing their head-to-head matchup against Stanford, and would have to settle for a Fiesta Bowl appearance against Penn State, a game they would lose 35-28. As Browning completed 18 of 25 for 175 yards and a touchdown, while also tacking on another on the ground. All in all, it would seem to be a down season, though Browning's stat line would still impress: 230 completions on 336 attempts for 2,719 yards, 19 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions, as well as adding another 7 touchdowns on the ground, though he would see a steep drop in his draft stock and would elect to return to school, looking to rebound. Unfortunately, he would not. He would stay the player he was during his junior campaign, as opposed to returning to the man he was during his sophomore. He would start the season off with a 21-16 loss to number 9 Auburn, but would rally back with 5 straight wins, before falling again, this time to 17th ranked Oregon. They would then beat Colorado, but then would be upended by unranked Cal, 12-10, causing Washington to fall out of the top 25 for the first time since Browning's freshman season. They would return back though the next week after defeating Stanford, and close the regular season on a 3-game win streak. They would then get their shot to reclaim the Pac-12 title against 17th ranked Utah, which they would win 10-3, to face number 5 Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, where they would fall 28-23. Browning would finish the season 252 of 388 for 3,192 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, as he would leave Washington as their all-time leading passer in yards and touchdowns. Though once regarded as a top 10 pick, Browning goes into this year's draft not having even been invited to the Senior Bowl, instead having to play in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, where he completed 9 of 17 passes for 114 yards and 2 interceptions. He did get an invitation to the Combine though, and posted a 4.74 in the 40, a 29 in the vertical, a 112 in the broad jump, a 7.19 in the 3-cone drill, and a 4.44 in the shuttle. With all that though, he is still projected to be a 6th or 7th round pick at best, a long fall from just 2 years ago. Was Jake Browning just a one-year wonder, or will a change of environment allow him to regain that 2016 form? Whatever it may be, with the NFL and the AAF now fielding teams, and the XFL and maybe even the FFL just around the corner, all I know is that we will surely see Jake Browning under center very soon. Whether if anything comes of it, we will see. But I wish him all the luck. Thank you all for watching this episode of Football History. If you have a player, event, or team you'd like to see an episode on, please let me know in the comments. And please, if you liked the video, please leave a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave a dislike. And if you have not already, please subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Bye.